Hey everyone, it's Saturday, October 24th, 2020. Welcome to episode 33 of the Ginger and the Beard podcast. I'm AJ, aka The Ginger.
And I'm Reese, aka The Beard.
On this week's show, we'll be drinking and reviewing craft beers from Newgrass Brewing and Firestone Walker Brewing, quickly recapping UFC 254, and giving a TLDR on Apple's new iPhones.
We'll also be talking about a potential new VR headset from DecaGear and Outer Worlds' arrival to the Steam store. So stick around. All right, let's do this. I want to say before we start the show, give you guys a quick reminder to please like and subscribe on YouTube and also subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you really want to help us grow, share the episode with a friend. As always, we appreciate your support. We're glad you're here.
Yes, absolutely. And make sure to check out the YouTube chapters below or the timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip around to your favorite topics. All right, man, before we get into all this crazy news, how was your week, man?
My week was great, man. I didn't work all week. I took the week off, so that was fun. Did a lot of fun and interesting things. Earlier today, we went and did a sensory deprivation tank, so that was really nice. And then we ate some crabs. It was my birthday, so.
So, to be clear, you ate crabs. You didn't get crabs.
Oh, yeah, I should have specified. Yeah, ate crabs. No. We got crabs.
You got crabs, and then you proceeded to eat them.
Yeah, steamed.
In the sensory deprivation tank.
Oh. Getting wild. I guess
Nice.
There was some salt in the sensory deprivation tank, so I guess that kind of seasoned them up a little bit. We can make it work.
You gotta tell me, how does that work? I've never been in a tank like that, a float tank.
So it's completely dark, no noise at all. You put earplugs in basically so that you can't hear anything, and then you're in like this actual like tank. You close the door in on yourself. And inside the tank is it's water, but it's like highly salinated water, so it's like basically 50% buoyancy. I don't know what that means, but basically you're not going to sink. Like you have to push down to like push your water to push down into the water. So, and then there's like tons of magnesium and other good stuff for your skin in there. So yeah, you kind of just lock yourself in. Floating on the water, can't hear anything, can't see anything. Even if you open, there's no difference between you closing your eyes and opening your eyes. It's pitch black. You can't see a thing. Yeah, so then all you can hear is your breathing and your heartbeat, basically. And I was in there for an hour and a half just meditating, thinking about my entire life.
What's the meaning of life? Dude, I feel like I would lose. I think I maybe would have a mental breakdown. I'd probably want to explode out of there.
Nah, you'd probably start hallucinating, though.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah, you do actually start hallucinating a little bit. It's just like little flashes of light. It's nothing really crazy. But I felt amazing. Felt absolutely amazing afterwards. That's why I do it. My wife does it. Makes her back feel amazing afterwards. So I mean, nice. Yeah, definitely recommend it.
I have to check that out. I have to see if there's any around me. I'm sure there's probably some around here.
I wouldn't doubt it, man. But how was your week?
It was good, man. Week flew by. Super busy at work, but happy to be here. We're recording on a Saturday instead of a Friday. You had some stuff going on yesterday, and today's your birthday. I'm not sure. Did you mention that? Today's your birthday. Happy birthday to the Beard.
Well, thank you.
I will now proceed to sing Happy Birthday.
Oh, no.
So if you don't want to hear that, skip 50. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
Oh God, thank you. It's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that to us. Don't do that to yourself.
The beard edits the videos, so he probably would have cut it out anyway. So.
Oh yeah, I probably would have just ended everything. I would have just shut my computer off.
Shutting it down.
I'm going to sleep. We're gonna start tomorrow over.
So happy birthday to you, man. You share a birthday with Alexander Volkov. We saw that today in the UFC 254. So yeah, my week was good, but weekend has been well so far today. Watching the fights, and went to a little oyster roast earlier today. I didn't get to stay too long, but ate some grilled steamed, I guess, oysters. Really, really delicious.
Ooh, nice.
But yeah, man, I'm excited to get into these topics. So I guess let's go ahead and move into our What You Drinking segment.
All right, let's go right into it. And we're back.
Welcome to the What You Drinking segment. Shout out to the voters this week. We put up a poll for my beer. Last week I didn't do a poll. This week you didn't do a poll because you have a beer that you're very excited to drink. But I put up a poll earlier, I guess, well, it was on Thursday technically, between the Newgrass Brewing Shortcake Oat Shake and the, what was the other one called?
Wasn't it like
looks like
something
purple?
looks like purple or rhymes with purple?
Yeah, there you go. Rhymes with purple from Bromari, I think is how you pronounce it. Bromari Brewing in Nashville, North Carolina. I was actually there this past weekend. Didn't get to stop by Bromari, unfortunately, because I heard they have delicious food. Unfortunately, I just didn't get to make it. It was too many places to get to.
No.
But the other one is Newgrass Brewing Company, which is also in North Carolina, but not Asheville. I picked up both of those beers from a bottle shop in Asheville, North Carolina. It's called The Local Bottle Shop. If you ever get a chance, stop by there. The guy who owns it's super cool. And he had a ton of good stuff for me to choose from. It was kind of hard to narrow it down, but those are two of the ones that I picked up, and they both sound delicious. Both of them fruited. The Shortcake Oat Shake from Newgrass Brewing took the cake.
Ooh.
Pun intended.
Nice.
Cool little label here, kind of like a minimalistic little circle label instead of like a full wrap label. So that's kind of different. You don't see that too often.
Quick little fact. Every time I vote, I never win. It's always the other one. You shared that with
so
me.
True.
I'm sharing it with the crowd every single week. I can't remember the last time I voted for something that you actually drank.
Yeah, it's so true, man. So true. But maybe the Boysenberry will win in the future, or maybe I'll just drink it for funsies later. Maybe give it a review on the website.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open. I'm going to give you some facts about it. It's a strawberry fruited sour from their website. Shortcake Oats. It's hard to say, actually. Shortcake Oat Shake is our 100% oat strawberry fruited sour IPA with lactose and vanilla. Smooth and juicy strawberry shortcake. Dude, I can't talk. In a can. All right, here we go. Give it a pour.
We'll say it 7 times fast while you're pouring it.
I can't even say it once while I'm working.
Shortcake
I'm
Oat
gonna stop
Shake.
here.
Shortcake.
I'm gonna give it a swirl.
Oh, nice.
I'm willing to bet there's probably some strawberries or some sediment in the bottom of this bad boy.
It's a good pour. Oh yeah, look at all that stuff coming out. You could see at the bottom of your glass almost. I feel like, unless that's the camera playing tricks on it.
There is some looks like a little bit of something. It's a little bit dark in this room. It's kind of hard to tell, but
yeah,
pretty thick. I mean, definitely thick. It's not super milkshakey, not super thick. I've had thicker fruited sours recently, but nice smooth strawberry flavor, or I say flavor every time. Scent coming off of that. Not any, really no head on that, so not a ton of carbonation there, but it smells pretty sweet. Not super sour, kind of what I would expect with like a lactose vanilla, additive. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a sip.
Do it.
Oh man. That's really good. Kind of the reverse of what I was expecting. It hits me with the sweet right up front. And then the sour is kind of what comes through towards the finish and sticks around.
Oh, nice. That's kind of, I feel like that's what you want more often, right?
Yeah, I kind of like that. It's not overly sweet. And it really does taste like, the more I kind of sit here and kind of mull it over for a second, it definitely tastes like strawberry shortcake.
Nice.
I'm not really good at describing baked goods, but it's kind of got.
And we have a new segment coming to the Ginger and the Beard. Baked goods. What you baking? Baking me hungry.
Oh, there you go. I don't really know how to describe it really, but I mean, if you've ever had like a pound cake, like a sweet pound cake, or like an angel food cake or something, that cakey sort of flavor you get. How do you describe the flavor of a cake? I don't really know how you describe that.
Sugary, fluffy, eggy.
Yeah, definitely
flowery,
eggy. Yeah, maybe. I think the lactose really lends itself to that too. I was doing some research and trying to figure out like why do they add lactose into beers and all these smoothie ales and fruited sours and stuff that you see around with the lactose. And what I found out is that the yeast that's used in brewing doesn't actually break down the sugars in the lactose or the lactose itself.
Oh. So
it leaves behind the final product is much sweeter, fuller, and creamier. Based on my very lengthy research, this is what I've learned.
Good.
So anyways, yeah, the Shortcake Oat Shake from Newgrass Brewing. I mean, highly recommend this. Man, I'm going to hate myself when I listen back to this episode. Not overly sour, not overly sweet, just a very fine balance there. Very good mouthfeel, very creamy. I would definitely agree with the creaminess if that's coming from the lactose. Kind of a middle of the road sour, I guess. It's not, I mean, I'm not the sour drinker myself, but this is something that I definitely would enjoy, on a hot day or really just sitting here at my computer. 6% alcohol. I'm actually shocked by that after tasting this. That doesn't present itself very heavily. It doesn't feel, like a 6%er. It seems like a little bit on the lower ABV side, but yeah, overall, very, very delicious beer. Definitely recommend you guys check it out.
Nice.
So what about you, man? You had a beer that you were adamant about experiencing on the show today. Tell us about that.
Well, we got Firestone Walker Brewing Company here, the Velvet Merkin from their vintage series. Yeah, this isn't a bottle. This is a box. Because
what's in the box?
What's in the box? It's a beer. Very excited for this. I've had this before, but it's always good to try things again. So let's go ahead and unbox this sucker and go ahead and pour it out. It's a oatmeal stout, 7.8% ABV, 21 IBUs. And there she is. There's the bottle. Oh, the label's a little messed up, but it's got all these fun facts on it. You want to zoom in?
Very nice.
Zoom in on that. It's got like I think the original gravity, I think is what it is, in Play-Doh. And then it's got how many cases? 6,700 cases produced. Newgate's Knocker. I don't know what that means, but that's the color of it, which is an 86. I think that's on a scale of 100, which you don't really see like beers explaining like their color grade, but I would guess 86 is pretty big, or not pretty big, but pretty colorful. And so this is from batch number 6. It says right there. So anyway, I just realized.
What's that? You don't have a bottle opener.
Never fails, dude. Never fails. But I have this Allen wrench here, and so
last episode it was a knife. This week it's an Allen wrench.
This Allen wrench is gonna work, I swear.
And another new segment of the show is how will Reese open his beer? Find out next week on how will Reese open his beer.
Find out. Okay, well we're getting the knife out again. We'll have to do the knife thing.
Jeez, just gonna be blood squirting on your camera.
Oh gosh, that would. Oop.
There we go.
Opa! That would be so bad if that were the case. There's actually like a cool little saying on the back of this. Well, first let me read how they describe it on their website. It says, "Our decadent oatmeal stout, lovingly aged in bourbon barrels, beautiful chocolate, espresso, and vanilla bourbon aromas hold your nose hostage. rich dark chocolate truffle, bourbon, and espresso create a dangerously smooth and incredibly drinkable barrel-aged oatmeal stout. Hoarding tendencies may occur.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great description.
Yeah. I'm not going to read this whole thing on the back because it's, it's quite a bit. And it basically is just a longer version of what I just said. So let's go ahead and pour her out. Here we go. Can you see that all right?
Yeah, man.
I just realized I'm right over my keyboard.
Oh, so sketchy. Wow, look at that.
Let me just pour it straight up like that. Yeah, that's an 86 right there.
I had no idea there was even a scale for color.
Yeah, if you want to become a Cicerone someday, you have to be able to identify what color this is on a scale of 1 to 100.
Looks like an 86 if I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, if I poured this out, I would guess 86. So clearly it's very dark. The head is nice, fairly uniform with a couple bigger bubbles. I think the body, yeah, I'd say probably medium to light bodied almost. Let's sip her. Oh, yes, that was amazing.
Delight.
The smell, definitely caramel, vanilla. That initial taste was chocolatey, vanilla-y, sweet. That was really good, just right on the tip of my tongue there. And as it's going on, I still have the chocolatey flavors in there. It's still lasting, nice and smooth, and I'm getting coffee on the end. So the aftertaste is basically the initial taste is very sweet, and then it turns into the espresso and the maltiness.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
How about the bourbon? Does the bourbon present very much? Since it's aged
on the front end, I think that kind of plays in with the sweetness of it a little bit.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, kind of getting the vanilla, the chocolatey kind of bourbon sweetness, and then it turns into more of a malty, coffee espresso type of flavor. They did say truffle. I'm not really getting truffle at all. I'm getting chocolate, but yeah. Still working on these taste buds. They'll get there eventually.
Man, it sounds delicious.
Yeah, this is definitely something to enjoy on a special occasion. Overall, man, this is top 10 for me. This is definitely recommended. Firestone Walker is probably one of my top 2 favorite breweries ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, anytime I see them in stores with something new, certainly something from their vintage series, I got to get a hold of it. I have to.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So they're based out of California. So did you pick that up at Total Wine?
Yeah, Total Wine actually had an amazing display in Virginia. They actually filled a whole shelf with a whole bunch of different Firestone Walker beers.
Nice.
They had a couple of different trial packs, 4 or 5 beers in there, and then they had a whole bunch of vintage series beers. It was the nicest display I've ever seen for Firestone Walker. Caught my eye, and I spent some money that day.
And that was the day.
And that was the day.
My wife cut up his savings.
My wife cut up my credit card.
Awesome.
Oh man! So very excited about that. That was our beer. We have some very exciting stuff to talk about as far as UFC. You want to get into it?
Yeah, man. Let's do that.
All right. Be right back. And we're back. Man, today was a day. For us, the recording is on Saturday, October 24th. UFC 254 was today. I think we should probably just talk about the the co-main and the main real quick. If you're cool with that, I think that we can kind of just touch on those. And man, let's start with Jared and Robert Whittaker. Jared Cannonier and Robert Whittaker. What did you think, man?
I had a lot of hype for this fight in particular. Obviously, the main event, is what we really came for. But I love watching both these guys fight. Jared Cannonier, I've loved watching him fight for a long time. To see his progression from heavyweight to middleweight is just kind of mind blowing. His look at the way his physique has changed over the years and his fighting style and technique and all that stuff, and just tons of power. And then Robert Whittaker with the comeback story.
Yeah.
He just beat Darren Till like a few months ago, and now obviously with this win today, it looks like he's, could potentially be next in line at another shot with Adesanya. But I was really excited for this fight. Not the outcome I was expecting though. If you guys go back and listen to our previous episodes, I think both of us actually, had our money on Cannonier.
Right.
But yeah, so they came out, and round one I thought was super close. Looking at those tweets that were feeding into the stream, and you and I and our buddy Toby were chatting back and forth, and kind of torn on that first round, right?
Well, yeah, I'm leaning towards that. It made sense, I think, to give it to Robert Whittaker. I mean, I think you could kind of go either way. Robert Whittaker was kind of like playing his game. I think he, was taking a little while to get started, and but I feel like he was in control most of the time. Jared Cannonier was kind of stalking him and kept hitting him with those very intense leg kicks and probably did more damage. But I think overall, I think that it was probably frustrating for Cannonier because he never really let his hands go, it seemed like, and Robert always had an answer for him if he did.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right for sure. Those leg kicks were Jared's story, perfectly placed, might we add, behind the knee, like not in the calf, but just like right behind the knee, where we've seen people getting, taking a lot of damage in recent fights, and was definitely showing signs of wear with Robert Whittaker even in the first round. But you're right. Jared could never really find his range, and I don't think he wasn't really on the offensive. I think he was looking for the counter strike to try to put Robert Whittaker away in that first round, but that didn't quite go his way. And I think it was pretty even that first round, but as the second round, as we got into the second round, what impressed me most was the speed of Robert Whittaker. I think his hands were just so fast, and to have his hands so low and be able to throw those jabs so quick was quite impressive. Jared had pretty good head movement, but really the accuracy of Robert Whittaker's hands, I think his head strikes, Jared Cannonier finished the fight with like less than 20 strikes to Robert's head. And I think he had like 20 or 30 leg kicks or something like that, but it was the exact opposite for Robert Whittaker. He was head hunting, I think, as they said in the fight in a kind of a good way.
Yeah.
So third round, I thought after the second round, I thought this was going to go to decision, but I think the theme for Robert Whittaker was just one specific combo. Did you pick up on that one combo they kept calling out? I think DC kept calling it out every time he threw it. It was like a
jab straight and then a head kick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think Jared, blocked it the first few times, but in the third round, he was successful. Robert was successful with that combo, and landed a pretty solid head kick to Jared Cannonier and just completely wobbled him. Like he just completely fell back towards the cage, and looked like he was probably going to get put away immediately. I think Robert Whittaker got on top of him, and but somehow Jared was able to kind of lock him up on the ground, work his way back to the feet, and kind of got his wits back about himself. And actually, for a second there, I think it was like 40 some seconds left in the fight. He actually wobbled Robert with, I think it was a straight right, and it hit him like right in the top of the head.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like those top of the head shots and like the behind the ear shots that don't seem super powerful, but they can like completely disorient a fighter.
Right.
But
the ones that they don't see coming, because I feel like you have like a half a moment to brace for it, you know, and when you don't have that moment to like brace for it, you know, it just completely wobbles your head. But yeah, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, for a second there, I was like, dude, this might be a huge comeback for Jared, because when he hit him, you saw Robert's legs wobble, right? You saw he got weak in the knees for a second.
Yep.
And I was like, man, if Jared smells blood, he might attack. But I don't think he could really. I think he was probably still a little cloudy at that moment and couldn't really capitalize on it, or didn't really see the damage he had dealt. But, you know, you could tell Whittaker looked at the clock and realized he only had like 15 or 20 seconds left in the fight, was able to change level change and wrap Jared up in the clinch. And I think he just kind of held him there for, you know, 15 seconds and let the fight end. So he won on decision. But yeah, I mean, I think good for Robert. I mean, you know, a comeback story for sure. He's still super young. I think he's 29, I believe. So he's got plenty of time ahead of him, and he's now chasing that title again. Do you think they're going to give him another shot at Izzy?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, he didn't even he never got his rematch. So, you know, the first fight, they could almost maybe call it a fluke, but it definitely wasn't. I just, you know, I want to see Robert go fight for the belt again, but I mean, I don't know if anything's really going to change. I mean, based on that performance, I mean, I feel bad about Jared Cannonier. I really thought that he was going to, you know, he was going to let his hands go and he was going to make something happen. He almost seemed like kind of hesitant, but I think it was just Robert playing his game, and you know, Cannonier just couldn't get it going. So I don't know if he beat himself or if Bobby Knuckles beat him, but you know, I think it might have been a little bit of both. So, you know, hopefully the future is brighter for Cannonier. I know he was on a pretty good win streak there, hadn't lost to anybody in this division.
Yep.
So I'm not sure who's next for him, but for Robert, yeah, I mean, it's got to be Izzy. I feel like I'm just worried that like nothing's changed for Robert, in my opinion, from the UL fights to now. You know, I think Robert's still doing the same thing, and it just works on everybody else. But Izzy's got the answer for him.
Yeah.
If Robert doesn't change his game plan, I mean, there's not going to be a different result in that championship fight.
Right. Yeah, and this is where you get to like a weird place in these like rankings and divisions too, because let's just say he does get another shot at Izzy. He loses again, but like who else is there in the middleweight division? Are they going to keep feeding Robert Whittaker guys to see if he's the gatekeeper to Izzy almost, you know what I mean? It's like they're not going to give him a third shot at Izzy if he loses again. So what happens?
Yeah, no, I agree, man. They can't. So also Izzy might be fighting John Jones. Like we never know, right? I don't really want to go down that path right now, but like, I think, you know, the future's uncertain. So they might give Robert somebody else. He might have to, you know, fight Hermanson or something, you know, but there's only so many people. And I mean, it was really Jared Cannonier's chance, and that chance is gone now, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if John and Izzy end up fighting, you never know. I mean, Robert might be the one. You know, Izzy held the interim title for a minute when Robert couldn't fight, so Robert might end up holding an interim title if Izzy can't fight. You know, if he's fighting John Jones. So could the scripts could be flipped, my friend.
Yeah,
but. With that said, I think let's move on to the main event of the night. And just an FYI, guys, we actually have some guests coming on the show this coming Tuesday, where we would typically record our weigh-ins episode. But these are guys from the hosts from the Beers and Beards podcast, and these fellas are actually have been involved in the MMA industry in some capacity in the past. So we'll probably be chatting more about this event on that episode as well. So make sure, if you are listening to this in the future, you go and check out that episode. Or if you're listening to this as soon as it publishes, make sure you stay tuned for that episode. But moving on, Khabib versus Gaethje, the fight we were all excited about and all tuned in to see. How do you feel right now? What's your gut feeling after watching that fight?
Personally, I'm torn because I feel initially let down because I really wanted Gaethje to win. I'm a big fan of his. So I was a little bit heartbroken about that. But I feel really good for Khabib. Having lost his father, Abdulmanap, recently, for him to be able to win, after, losing his father, you could clearly see in the ring, how emotional he was about it. And, the fact that, spoiler alert, he put the gloves down, basically out of respect for his mother, is just absolutely crazy to me. So everything about it, man, is really crazy. I do feel like, I just feel like Khabib he's really just that good. He just dominates people. I was a bit surprised by Gaethje not having better jiu-jitsu. It doesn't seem like he has any jiu-jitsu at all. He's probably a white belt. I think he's probably a white belt in jiu-jitsu. So that corner needs to go back to, he's good at striking. And I thought he would be better at wrestling or takedown defense. It doesn't seem like he had really any answer for Khabib's takedowns. So he might as well not even have had any wrestling background. So yeah, I mean, it was just Gaethje's leg kicks versus Khabib's everything else,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we didn't really get to see much of Gaethje's hands in that fight. He definitely landed some solid shots, as counter strikes. But I think it was the overall pressure that Khabib puts on fighters. And he came out, he didn't hesitate for a second. I mean, they felt each other out for maybe a minute.
Yeah.
Of that first round. But then it was just Khabib pouring on the pressure from start to finish. And he's just an intimidating guy. And you got to imagine the pressure in that moment, which, if you listen to some of Gaethje's interviews in the past, it seems like he's not the kind of guy who gets overwhelmed by the pressure of the moment. But you're face to face with a guy who's 28-0 at the time, arguably one of the best UFC fighters of all time. And I mean, he's just like a superstar. You saw him with his like motorcade rolling into the arena with the police escort and like 3 black SUVs. Like, what is this guy, the president? Like, who is this guy?
Right.
So just all of that combined with this being the biggest fight, the biggest moment of Gaethje's career, like I wonder if some of that kind of got to him a little bit potentially. But also, yeah, I mean, to your point, the ground game just wasn't there. But honestly, if it didn't go to the ground, I don't see that fight going any differently, just based on what we were able to witness, between the first and part of the second round. Khabib was just in his face constantly, wasn't giving him a second to even get his footing, to even load up a shot. You know what I mean? But we've seen Gaethje knock dudes out from like weird positions and like, very unstabilized punches, but I don't know. I mean, Khabib was just laying it on him, man.
Yeah, I feel like Gaethje should have just fought more of his fight. But honestly, I don't think it would have mattered. Khabib just ragdolled him. He didn't ragdoll him, but Gaethje, it didn't seem like he had any. And if you go back and watch Gaethje fights where he's like taking people down, or where people are trying to take him down, like he's got a really good, kind of scramble, but there was no scramble here. I feel like what Gaethje was trying to do was conserve energy when he should have just been letting it all go. Let it all go, So right. I don't know their game plan, but it didn't work.
No, it didn't. But yeah, I think the other thing is Khabib is just so strong, man. But I mean, like his technique, the way he goes from getting Gaethje's back. So the way the fight ended, he gets his back, but instead of just wrapping him up, he like flips around to the side and immediately goes for that arm bar, then switches up for a triangle, like within a matter of like 10 seconds. Like there was like it was almost a seamless transition. Like he knew immediately within that first 2 seconds of exactly what he needed to do in that moment. Like there was no question in his head. Like that's exactly what he needed to do and where he needed to go.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, so Gaethje ends up getting caught in the triangle. and going to sleep because I guess the referee didn't see the tap the first 3 times. I don't know how that happened, but
right.
I guess in his defense, if you watch it back at full speed, it kind of looks like that first tap. He's searching for Khabib's glove or something to try to free up the hands or to do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what he could have been trying to do other than tap, but I guess benefit of the doubt. But regardless, that's how it ended. I was excited to see, the respect afterwards. Obviously, Khabib broke down in the middle of the ring. Presumably because of his dad. This is the first fight after his dad passed away. And all those emotions have been kind of pent up during training and all that stuff. So Gaethje actually went over and tried to console him a little bit. And, obviously they hugged it out at the end of it. Turns out they have the same manager. I didn't realize that before this fight. But
yeah.
So a lot of mutual respect there. But fly is like flying around my face right now. You and I were chatting after the fight. And it's just like, so he retires now. So no one, in my opinion, nobody can ever call themselves, besides Khabib, the greatest lightweight UFC fighter of all time, because no one will defeat Khabib unless they go on to make the GSP fight. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen.
Well, unless somebody else comes along and is as dominant and, goes 30-0.
Yeah. So,
but we'll never know. I don't think we'll ever see Khabib fight again. I think that's it.
Yeah, you don't get the sense with him as you do with somebody like Conor or John Jones or whatever, like, I'm retiring. It's like, okay, bro, you said that 3 times before.
Yeah.
Seems like if Khabib says something, he means it. So
I think what happens next is the winner of Poirier versus Conor fights Justin Gaethje for the title.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think that's what happens next.
For sure. So, do you want to talk about the ONX Sports training gloves?
Yeah, just real quick. Gaethje's coach, Trevor Wittman, we've talked about him in the past, but I'm only bringing these up now because in the pre-fight press conference, Trevor Wittman was discussing these gloves, and I think we saw maybe one eye poke today. I'm not sure. I didn't really see. I think I saw one eye poke, and that was it today. But everybody's seen the eye pokes in the past or broken hands, and who else? Whatever else happens because of these dang gloves. So Trevor Wittman's got this company, ONX Sports. He makes training gloves and other training equipment, and this is his solution to eye pokes and broken hands. So. He explained that the current MMA gloves keep your fingers extended, they cause unnecessary fatigue, they can lead to eye pokes and broken bones. His solution is a glove that keeps your hands in a more natural, closed position. So he explained it like UFC gloves, if you're watching right now, keep your hands kind of extended like this. His gloves kind of keep them in this natural position. So you're using these bones rather than these bones when punching. Basically removes the potential for eye pokes and lessens fatigue, puts the focus on your knuckles rather than the fingers when punching. And one of the cool things, which I didn't realize, is he's been in discussions with fighting promotions for 2 years now, trying to get something done, but he wants to wait to ink a deal with Dana and the UFC before branching out to other promotions because he has huge respect for Dana and believes he created MMA as it is today and wants to work with Dana first out of respect. So he's willing to wait just so that he can get a deal with Dana first. If you guys want to go check out the gloves, go to onxsports.com. And if you want to check out the full media day interviews, you got to go find those on YouTube.
Yeah, and I would recommend you guys go listen to the episode of Joe Rogan's podcast with Justin Gaethje and Trevor Wittman, because he talks a lot about the justification, the backstory of how he developed these gloves, like in his basement with his own sewing machine, doing all this stuff himself, testing it out with his own fighters that he trains and all that cool stuff. Really, really interesting stuff, and he's a very passionate guy. It's really fun to listen to. Talk about why and how he's doing this. So Hopefully they can work something out, man. I don't really see why not. Don't see anything except for complaints about the UFC gloves. So I feel like it's just like football, it's just like NFL. There's always constant developments when it comes to equipment. You've got a problem, with concussions or with neck injuries or whatever. What do? You evaluate your equipment, see what changes you can make there. So why is the UFC any different? Why not make changes to the equipment to help out these fighters?
Absolutely. I don't understand what's taking them so long. It doesn't make sense. But
maybe once they pop out, once somebody pokes an eyeball out of the socket mid-fight, maybe then they'll reconsider.
Yeah, don't change anything until it's too late. That's how it always goes, doesn't it? Until
Yeah,
there's a lawsuit, So
that's right.
All right, man. Well, that's the UFC. You had a very exciting day in the UFC world. Let's go ahead and talk about some technology.
Let's do it.
All right, and we're back. And I got some news real quick. I'm always bringing the good VR news. This won't take long, but we got a company called DecaGear coming out with a PC VR headset. This week, basically, they made an announcement of this just phenomenal sounding headset that they're going to be coming out with. And let's just kind of rattle through some of these promises. Face and hip tracking, 4.6 megapixels per eye, which is 2160 by 2160, 90 hertz refresh rate, and they're saying it's going to be a 2021 launch. And I'll save the best for last. I'll get to that here in a second. So this company is based out of Singapore. They say the head-mounted display is designed to embrace social VR content, offers wireless game streaming from your PC with an add-on accessory labeled DecaGear with a $50 price tag. Real quick, just to compare that to one of the solutions that I think not Oculus is using. I think that HTC is using is basically $250 comparably. So $50 compared to $250. Interesting. Deca Move is the hip tracking attachment, which actually looks pretty cool, and I think that's a fantastic idea. If it's real, then you basically just put this little tracker on your belt and tracks your hip movement, which allows you to have another facet of movement involved, where you could keep your hips facing one direction and you could be turning another direction and keep walking in that one direction while turning and looking another way. I think that's a fantastic idea that we should have seen prior. But the company released 2 videos showing face tracking in action and its hip-based locomotion. So I think the face tracking and hip-based locomotion is interesting. Hopefully they can pull it off. But what's really crazy, drum roll please, they're saying that they're going to release this for just $450. So just to give you some comparisons, I talked about it a week or two ago. HP was coming out with a headset that is comparable to this, that they've been showing off for a while now. I think it's the Reverb, I believe it was called. And that one's probably going to be in like the $1,000 price range. And that thing's like super legit. I've already seen demos of it. It looks freaking amazing. So for DecaGear to come out and say that it's just $450, I'm just wondering, man, should we be skeptical? What do you think?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I wonder if the $450 is just for the head mounted, or is that supposed to be for the hip tracking accessory and the wireless game streaming service? I mean, because the Quest 2, I mean, some of these headsets are getting pretty affordable. I think the Quest 2 is like $300 or something, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But of course, I don't think that has any face tracking built in, to my knowledge.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty interesting. It would be cool if that's a real thing. The hip tracking does sound interesting to me, though. I like when you put it in that. At first, I'm like, why do you need to track your hips? I don't understand. Unless maybe you're like Shakira and you're like in a music video.
I was thinking something a little bit naughtier.
Oh boy. We'll keep that one. Save that one for later. um, but yeah, I mean, to your point, like if you're playing, a shooter game or something, you need to check your surroundings, but keep walking in one direction or something. Or if you're playing maybe I don't know. I don't play a lot of VR, so it's kind of hard for me to think of different examples. But that makes more sense to me now. I do wonder, what is the face tracking? Do you know like what the specifics are on that? Like, what is it actually? Is it tracking your mouth movements or?
Yeah, mouth movements, facial expressions, stuff like that, so that it can produce those in a social VR atmosphere, so that other people can see your facial expression. So it's that's basically what it is. So I even just having the 4.6 megapixels per eye at 90 hertz is insane. And then you're going to add face and hip tracking on top of that. I feel like the hip tracking probably isn't included, but for such a low price point, it's hard to believe that this is possible. And so if you take a look a little bit deeper into the development team, they don't really have any technology like this already. They really don't have like anything yet. They basically have marketed themselves in the past as having like a huge MMO game. And if you like go and try and find the MMO game, like there's no MMO game. So this company's just like kind of coming out of left field with all these things about this head-mounted display. And I would be very interested to see if this all comes true in 2021, or if it's all just kind of a media publicity kind of scam to try and get people to see their company,
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. So lots of always tons of rumors to vet out in the tech industry. Lots of vaporware, so hopefully this actually does come true. And there's always rumors surrounding Apple devices as well, but we've got answers now when it comes to a lot of the stuff that's been rumored, because we had an Apple event just this past week. I believe we didn't have an episode since the event until just now. So let's talk about these new iPhones that were officially announced. So we talked about what was rumored to come out, and what I want to focus on right now is, because we could spend an entire episode talking about this stuff, is just what should you know about, what should you care about, why even listen to this segment of the show. So we're going to break it down, the TLDR, too long didn't read version of this. So there's 4 new iPhones now. Some of them they're releasing on different timetables at this point. I think that's just probably a supply chain issue based on COVID. So the 12 and the 12 Pro are, I think, now available for pre-order, and the 12 Mini and 12 Pro Max will be available for pre-order, I believe, the 6th of November. Don't quote me on that. Could be off by a few days. Okay. So what should you know about these? Number one, we told you before the event was going to be focused on speed. So they're faster. They've got an A14 Bionic chip built into them. The same chip that is most likely going to be used in upcoming MacBooks. So actual laptops will be using the same chip that's in your iPhone. This is Apple's proprietary silicon that they developed themselves. They're all 5G ready, 5G capable. So as long as your service provider has 5G, you will be able to get those speeds. And I've seen some demos of 5G, and it's getting like, I don't know if it was on Sprint or Verizon, but like, it looked like, I think it was like 350 megabits download speed on 5G, which is pretty ridiculous for a network connection. Next to that, LiDAR scanner. In the Pro models, they're going to have a LiDAR scanner built into the camera, the rear-facing camera. This is definitely something I think you would be interested in, Reese, because...
What's LiDAR?
So it's essentially depth mapping. So the camera can sense how long does it take for light to reflect off of surfaces in the room, and get back to the sensor in the camera, so it can build depth maps of your entire room in real time. So this is especially helpful for AR. They've been slowly working their way up to like announcing some sort of AR technology for the last like 3 or 4 generations of iPhones. But essentially what this LiDAR scanner in the phone is going to allow you to do is, if you're using AR applications, the phone will be able to actually sense depth to a place where, imagine your couch is here, your wall is a little bit further back. So if somebody develops in like a character or something in this AR experience and they run behind the couch, So you'll actually be able to see the character go behind the couch, come out the other side. It knows the difference between foreground and background. So your
Wow.
AR experiences are going to be much more realistic, much more immersive. Another example they talk about on their website is that if there's a grass area or something in your AR experience, the grass will only be on the floor of your living room and will stop perfectly at the edge of your couch or edge of your table. So it's not like creeping up and kind of getting confused. So very, very interesting stuff there. I kind of excited to see that in practice. And also it allows for portrait photos at night and faster autofocus with the camera. So if you're all about the cameras, this is something you should definitely check out. Speaking of cameras, the iPhone Pro Max, which is their largest model, has a 47% larger camera sensor than the rest of the lineup, with a 5 times optical zoom and something called sensor shift optical image stabilization. So if you're all about taking videos, maybe while you're in a car, you're trying to get a picture of your kids running around, those are a couple examples they give. The sensor itself actually moves to compensate for the shakiness of the phone to smooth out those videos or help you get a clean shot of a moving object or while you're moving. So pretty interesting stuff. Ceramic shield is something that we also talked about as rumored is basically a new type of glass. It's actually not glass, it's ceramic, developed by the same company who makes Gorilla Glass, which is Corning. This ceramic shield is a special blend of ceramic that's made up of nanocrystals, blah, 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 buzzword. 4 times better drop performance is what they're claiming with this glass. And it's exclusive to Apple. There's no other smartphone manufacturers that use this same type of glass. Samsung is also using Corning's Gorilla Glass, the Victus, which is the latest Gorilla Glass, latest in the lineup of Gorilla Glass. And after doing some research into what people are saying about the differences, it seems like the ceramic shield will be stronger than Gorilla Glass Victus, which is what Samsung is using, and should be, able to withstand some pretty significant drops. So at this point, I'm kind of curious. I wonder if we'll ever get to a point where we don't have to use a case on our phones. Like, do you think you'd ever be at a place where you're comfortable enough not using a case?
I mean, frankly, we should be there already. In my opinion, like, they should make phones. they can make phones that don't break. Like, it's a marketing scheme basically for like super rich people that are dumb and don't care to drop their phones, so they have to buy a new one all the time. I get it. They don't want to make the phones indestructible. They want them to be easily destructible so that you buy more of them. I think based on that, we probably won't ever have, phones without cases, but I don't understand why these companies aren't just adding on like, a $50, like a ridiculously expensive case to go with it and be like, oh, for an extra $700, you can get this indestructoid case, with your phone built in. Give us the 12 Pro Max
rugged.
Yeah, there it is. The 12 Pro Max rugged, never breaks, ran over with a tank, shot with a 50 caliber.
Yeah, I see what you're saying for sure. I also agree. I'm not sure why we're not there yet. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I guess there's probably some fine balance between clarity of the glass and durability and all these different things. There have been non-breakable phones in the past. Motorola had something, the Droid Turbo Max or something like that, had some sort of, I think essentially what it was like plexiglass as a screen. It was like more of a plastic than a glass, or it had some sort of a coating on it or something that made it essentially shatterproof. I guess it all comes down to the feel of the device, because something like that, even if you go and put a screen protector on your phone, it doesn't feel the same. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel as smooth. It doesn't feel as like those buttons that you're pushing are like as close to the surface of the screen. So it's all about those minute details. I think that has kept us from getting to that point.
Dude, if I can go buy a $5 case they can build something into this phone. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. If
Oh
I can
yeah,
go,
I'm sure.
if there's a $5 solution, then like they can do it. They
Yeah.
just don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the materials. And speaking of the materials, the iPhone 12, the chassis, as we mentioned, has been redesigned. It's much more akin to the iPhone 4S or the 5, where it's squared off edges, which I'm super excited about. Fits more in line with their iPad Pro, or actually all of their iPads now, that's squared off edge instead of the rounded edge. So you can actually stand the phone up just on the bottom of it. It's so flat. Just looks a lot more clean, well, I guess it's all subjective. It depends on what you prefer, but the Pro models have a stainless steel bands all around the side as opposed to aluminum, so more quality. They're polished. It's kind of, again, preferential. I kind of like the mattness of the aluminum of the non-pros, but some people will prefer that shiny stainless steel encasing, but there is still a glass back on those, I do believe. So, last but not least, we talked about MagSafe last week. Last time we talked about this, there are magnetic attachments for these phones. So actually inside of the phone in the back, there's a circle of magnets, a circular magnet. So you can attach a charger, a phone charger will snap onto it and start to charge. It's just a Qi charger though. So any Qi device you can lay on top of that thing and it'll still charge the device. So Pixel phones, any Android phone that's Qi charging enabled. But they're offering accessories like a wallet attachment that you can slap on the back of your phone that magnetically attaches. But I would just say, without spending too much time on it, go and check out the video reviews that are out right now. There are some tech reviewers showing that when you slap that on the back and try to slide that into your pocket, the magnets are not actually strong enough to prevent that wallet attachment from falling off the phone. So seems a little sketchy. Seems gimmicky. I'm kind of annoyed that Apple has turned towards the gimmick to kind of, encourage more sales, because that seems more of a, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like something Apple typically would do. But anyways, and last but not least, I will just say the iPhone mini seems kind of interesting for folks who prefer a smaller phone. I think you might actually be one of those folks who prefers a smaller phone, potentially, but it's a 5.4 inch screen, very similar size to the iPhone 5. So very, very small form factor, still edge to edge display. Quite interesting, but not quite ready for pre-order. So that was the TLDR of that. Go and check out the reviews. There's tech reviewers out with full reviews of these phones. And make your own judgments. Let us know if you guys are interested in those iPhones. Most likely I'll be picking one up. So whenever I do get one, I'll make sure we chat about it on the show.
Oh man, that's awesome. No, I'm not really into smaller phones. I think I've been looking at the Samsung Galaxy 20, I think. What is it?
The Note?
The
Note
Galaxy
20?
Note. Yeah, the Galaxy Note.
Or the S20?
Nah, the big one.
Probably the Note 20 then.
I think it's the Note 20. I was looking at that, but I mean, you're kind of, I don't know about these. The AR LiDAR scanner on the phone is like kind of selling me on this, but we almost pulled the trigger on Prime Day and bought 2 new Samsung phones, and then we decided not to. So we're still in the market, but probably not going to buy any new phones soon.
Yeah, I love Samsung phones, man. I had the Samsung Note 5, and I loved that thing. So I don't think you'll be disappointed either way.
Yeah, I used to have a Samsung. I got the Pixel 2 still in my case. Finally broke. I used to have that wallet case.
Yeah.
So now I got this clear case. You can actually see
Very nice.
See all the stuff on it again. It's a lot smaller too. So yeah, man, that was our tech news. Not a whole lot going on in the video game world. We could talk about a couple things, but nothing really big happening. I think we should just go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, I agree, man. I definitely agree.
All right, so just in closing, guys, I again very happy to have everybody here listening and watching. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Also subscribe on your favorite podcast player if you really want to help us grow. And as always, share this podcast with a friend. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys so much. And again, as I mentioned it, this coming Tuesday, we'll be recording an episode with the hosts from the Beers and Beards. Very similar show. A couple of guys with some beards who like to drink beers. So we'll be having them on our show to chat about just that, some beer, and like I said, potentially some UFC news. So make sure you check that episode out if it's out right now. And if you're an eager beaver and you're listening to this episode the day it drops, make sure you stay tuned for that episode. But until then, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
See ya.